Hi there. I wanted to take a few minutes just to make a quick video. I am in the middle of grading your literature reviews, and I am very concerned. Let's just say I have a high level of concern about these drafts. It is not clear to me that people have been reading their book, preparing literature reviews, and using that information. I'm just very concerned about these papers, because if this is indicative of how the rest of the sections will be coming in, I'm very concerned about the grades you'll receive. So I wanted to take this time. I know not everyone has gotten feedback on their lit reviews yet. I'm working on getting detailed feedback to everyone, but a lot of you should already have a grade and have detailed feedback from me, and so I want to make sure I get this out for everybody, for the rest of you, so that you have time to think about this as you work on your methodology, your plan of analysis, and doing the revisions to the literature review that you will need to make for the final draft. I cannot emphasize enough how you need to get this book out and use it to help you. Chapter 8 talks all about writing the first draft. Make an outline with brief notes and unique identifiers. Make sure it moves logically from one point to another. When appropriate, cite 2 or more sources for a single point. Avoid very long of strings of references. Use quotes sparingly. Emphasize stronger studies over weaker ones. Point out important strengths and weaknesses of the research being cited. Use language that distinguishes between results and speculation. Point out consistent findings. Point out contradictions. Identify gaps in the literature. Lead me to your questions. I don't want to say that. If you have read this book, these chapters in this book, it's not evident that you have actually applied the knowledge to the literature reviews, and it scares me. I'm very worried. I'm very worried for you. And so I wanted to make this. Okay, so let me get off my soapbox and just let me give you some guidelines. First of all, read that book. Read how to write a literature review. It's very easy to read. It gives you very, very good pointers that you can follow easily, and will make a dramatic difference in your papers. Secondly, and this is going to be especially true as you move to your methodology and your plan of analysis, and then later come back to your introduction, you are giving me sections of a big paper, not writing me these little different mini papers. The literature review, I'm expecting as I read them to see where you are giving me the state of knowledge about your topic, guiding me through the body of literature, helping me understand it in its context, what's important about it, why we care about knowing about it, what researchers have found, what they've done, what kinds of studies they're doing. Is it qualitative, quantitative? What are their sample sizes? Are they doing interviews? Are they doing observations? How are they getting their data? And then what are they finding? And how do their findings relate to the findings of other people, whether they're similar or contradictory? And then what could be the reason for those contradictions if they're finding different things? What might be going on methodologically that is causing them to have different conclusions? And I want you to be identifying gaps in the literature as you move forward, so that when you get to the end of that lit review and you give me your research questions, I already expect that they're there. And then when you give me hypotheses, they are hypotheses that I could predict you'd choose based on the literature. I've read some that don't have any research questions at all, first and foremost, and that's a problem. Others that give me research questions and hypotheses, but they don't have anything to do with the literature you have just discussed. All of a sudden, marital status shows up in a question, and there has been nothing about marital status in the lit review, or if there was, it was a very small portion and not emphasized very much. This needs to be a real cohesive piece of work, which is why you've sort of had all semester, half a semester to sort of be getting it worked on. A good lit review will start broad and then narrow in to the research questions. Should be like a funnel, so that it narrows down to where you get to the research questions at the very end. They're already clear to me. I already know you're going to ask that. And your hypotheses make sense because there's something I could predict also based on the literature that you have just described to me. There's also a lot of grammar problems in these papers. You've got to proofread really carefully. I sent out an announcement before they were due letting you know that APA and grammar issues cause you to lose a lot of points, and they're the things that are probably the most easily fixed. By proofreading carefully, getting the APA manual out and comparing, literally looking at the APA manual and comparing it to what you have and seeing if it looks the same. This is stuff that takes a lot of time, but really makes a difference in terms of your grade. At the graduate level, the expectation is that there are no grammar problems and that there are relatively few, if any, APA errors. And I haven't found that to be the case yet either. So I just want to encourage you to really take a good look at that in the method that you're going to turn in on next week, in the plan of analysis, and the introduction that'll come through. And you also need to remember that when you get this feedback for the literature review, they're taking me quite a long time to grade because I'm putting a lot of feedback in. And the papers that require more feedback obviously take longer to grade. So take that feedback. I'm not putting it in there to make you feel like, oh my gosh, there's, she's just, getting me on everything here. That's not the point. I want you to take my feedback and apply it so that when you turn in that final draft of your full proposal that has all the sections together, you have taken my feedback and incorporated it and made it better so that you can get a better grade on that final proposal, that final draft, when you put it all together. So keep that in mind as you're working on this. This is not just a little lit review. This is the literature review for your proposed study. And I want you to get this book out when you do your revisions. I want to see evidence that you have used what you have learned so far in the class and applied it to the writing that you're doing. It just breaks my heart to have to give grades to people. I'm like, wow, I go back and look at quiz grades. I see people did very well on quizzes, yet they're not applying that knowledge to the written work. So please be very mindful of that. And don't take this video as like, geez, she's really... I'm just doing this because not everybody... Some people have their feedback already, and they already kind of know where they're supposed to go with their methodology. But some of you won't get that till probably Thursday or Friday. And it's, with it coming due Monday, that's not as much time. So I wanted to kind of give everybody the same opportunity to know that what I'm looking for, I haven't really seen a lot of yet. And it's worrisome. Because I know that the information was there in the text, and the information was there in the quizzes and in the notes, and some people did research cafes on this and whatnot, and I'm just not seeing it coming out in what you've actually produced for me. So I'm just concerned. I want everyone to do as well as they possibly can in this class. I want everyone to reach their highest potential, and so I wanted to take an opportunity to remind you that there are a lot of resources available to you. Another thing that I'm suggesting to people is to see examples of a well-written lit review, read the literature reviews of the articles that you've picked. And not just as trying to gain information. See how they've organized it, how they've laid it out, the kinds of terminology that they use, the sentence structure that they employ, the variety of word choice, the way that they clearly define terms and then stay consistent with those terms, verb tense agreement, appropriate grammar, words spelled correctly. These are all things that go into this document that I want to see evidence that real attention has been paid to. As you're working on your method section, look at the method sections of these articles. I am going to want to see that all of your variables are operationally defined. I want to know which ones are the independent variables and which ones are the dependent variables. I want to see where you've clearly defined where you're getting them from. What item on a questionnaire are you using to be that variable? Is it continuous? Is it categorical? Do the variables that you're using in your method section, are they the same ones that you've discussed in your lit review and in your research questions? And in your hypotheses? And does the language of the question and the hypothesis match what you plan to do with it? If you're looking for group differences, or if you're predicting one will produce change in another, or what have you. So I would just really encourage you, take these very seriously. Read articles that are out there that are published and see how those authors have set them up. So you're going to be reading those not only to get information, but also as a model for how to format, how to logically organize. Many of you I'm writing on there, tighten your organization. make an outline of what you hope to cover so that it leads you. I think there's some people that are jumping around everywhere. And an outline would help you. And then you can make the subheadings for your paper match the outline, and then you know where you're kind of going, and it's easier for you to lead your reader through it. So I hope that information's helpful. Please let me know if you have questions, especially after you get your feedback from me. And please know that the feedback I'm giving you is to help strengthen your paper for the final draft. So read it with that in mind and apply those changes. And if you have questions about how to do so, let me know, okay? Okay, thanks a lot. I hope that that you find the information helpful, the feedback helpful, and I'm hurrying. I'm going as fast as I can to get everybody feedback before your next assignment is due. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.